So, Neil, I have been looking so forward to talking with you. I'm curious, how long have you been acting now, and what inspired you to get into it?
Oh boy. At a very young age, growing up in Boston, I had five older siblings. They were much older than me. My mom always says I was the greatest mistake she ever made. Very nice of her. Uh, but at a very young age, at like 3 years old, my siblings, back then, back in the early 70s, there wasn't video games. There wasn't anything. There was just little brothers to torture. So for me, I would have to entertain my siblings. And if I didn't entertain them, they'd pummel me. So I learned how to make them laugh quickly. When they were punching me, I learned how to turn tears on quickly so that, I could, so I really learned at a very early age what an audience is and how to make the audience happy and how to get reactions out of an audience. So I think I was always just kind of naturally going to be an actor. And then when I was in high school, my first play I played Snoopy in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I got a standing ovation. I was like, oh, I am good at this. Oh, this is pretty good. But it was that in sports. And I was driven in sports like crazy and driven in theater at the same time. So I went up to Syracuse and I did both at Syracuse University, played baseball and in theater there. And, it was fantastic. And then I came into Hollywood. My first movies were, I played Lou Gehrig in The Babe Ruth Story. My first movie was Angels in the Outfield. So baseball has been very good to me in my life.
I watched you so many times in that movie as a as a kid. I had to go back and look at it. I couldn't remember who you were, and I was like, "Oh, I remember that."
One,
That
one of my
was
great, one of my greatest, you know, bragging things. I forget was it Heathcliff? I forget who it was. About 10, 12 years ago, during the All-Star game, the MLB All-Star game, he came out of the bullpen when they called him in late in the game, and he ran in, and he slid into the mound, and he did all the Whit Bass stuff that I did in Angels in the Outfield, and I was like, "What the heck?" And I saw it live on television. It was one of those proudest moments I'd ever had as an actor that someone stole my material and used it in a Major League Baseball game. So it was kind of awesome.
Now, what was that like when you first went to your parents and told them you wanted to be an actor? Were they supportive of it?
My brothers and my sister were all, they're all stockbrokers, they're all professors, they're all one of them owns a newspaper, so they're all like, you know, business minded, go get it types of people. So when it came to me, they always knew that I was kind of a ham, that I always wanted to be, an actor and entertain people. So uh, my parents were so supportive of anything that I wanted to do. And my dad said, if you're going to do something, just work your butt off. If they give you $1, give them $2 worth of effort. Just outwork anybody else in whatever you do. And I that still sticks in my brain that, even I'm on set, if I'm tired or if the days are long, I hear my dad, calling me out. You got to work harder than everybody. Just keep working harder. And now here I am talking to you, Eric, about a film that I wrote and produced with my wife and started with my wife and, had the great John Avnet directing, Michael T. Williamson, Christopher McDonald acting with me, who are two of my closest friends in Hollywood, and Angel Studios distributing the film.
Yeah,
I don't I don't know how I got here, but I'm a very, very fortunate man. Blessed.
I'm looking so forward to seeing that movie. Now, with Angel Studios, have you been doing like exclusively films with them for the last several years?
No, not exclusively. We have a deal that, I bring everything to Angel first. The first thing we did was The Shift. They came to me first and they said, "You want to play in The Shift?" And first I said, "You want to play the devil?" "No, I'm not playing the devil." And my wife said, "Well, you kind of should be playing this character, honey, because you have such a great relationship with God. You're one of the best villains in the history of Hollywood. With all the faith that you have, maybe you can find a moment in the film where the devil realizes he was wrong and he wishes that he had never taken the choices that he did." And I was very proud of The Shift, and I found a moment at the very end of the film where you see that where you actually care for the devil for a second. You're like, "Oh, this poor dude. If he just made better choices." And then within 30 seconds, I snap out of it and become the devil again. And it was one of those performances that I was just so darn proud of. And Christopher Palaha, who's the lead in the film, is just such a talented actor that we had a ball doing that. And then they said, "Well, we want to do some more stuff with you." And then we did Homestead together. That little $5 million film made $23 million in the box office. That's kind of astounding. And then here we are with The Last Rodeo, and our next movie we have The Wicked and the Righteous. So we're very busy with Angel. They support us. They allow us to do the films that we want to do, and we want to give glory to God in all of our projects. We want to have. I wouldn't call our films faith-based films at the McDonough Company. What we call them are great movies that have a backdrop of faith that call you out in the film. In this film, much like I was in my personal life when everything was kind of ripped away from me when I was blackballed years ago. I went through such torture for years that I wrote to that. And Joe Wainwright is kind of me. And finally, he's called out on his faith. And when I was called out on my faith, what was I going to do? And I fought against it and finally realized that faith is everything. And I found my faith again. And you look at the last 10 years since I gave up drinking alcohol, we're about to produce our 11th movie together, my wife and I. You know,
That's
our
awesome.
kids are doing so well in schools and in colleges and doing well in sports and top students and, you know, all these things because me in particular had this shift of I need to give glory to him. He's my boss. He's my only boss. When you make your boss happy, great things happen to you as a worker. And all of a sudden, all these gifts are given to you that you get to reach out and touch people's lives through making film. That's a huge gift that's been given to me. And I don't take that lightly. So we work really hard in making sure that our films are done to the best that they can possibly be done. Look, there's an $8.5 million film, looks like a $50 million film, thanks to the great John Avnet, who directed it. That's a blessing in itself right there. And then
Absolutely.
when I hear from people who have seen the film, who love the movie, I'm just so honored and grateful for the position that I'm in right now.
Tell me a little bit about what the Last Rodeo is going to be about.
It was funny. We were doing a movie called The Warrant Part 2, a Western that we were doing. And I was just sad that day. I was missing Reve and the kids fiercely. And I pulled over to the side of the road because I was really missing Reve. And I looked down and I saw these horses. And then all of a sudden I thought, what would ever happen to me if something happened to Reve? And it just kind of gut punched me. And then all of a sudden this thought came into my head. I'm a pretty smart guy, but I'm not this smart. And I knew nothing about bull riding. And this thought came into my head, Rocky on a bull for a grandfather who's about to lose his grandson to the same way he lost his wife. I was like, where did that come from? And I know it was a gift from him. And within a week, we had my partner, Derek Presley, and we wrote our first draft. And a week later, we set it up and sold it. And it was a gift from him above. There's just absolutely no question about it. And now to have it come into the theaters Memorial Day weekend, we're David versus Goliath. We're going up against Mission Impossible. We're going against Lilo and Stitch. And those are big tentpole films that are what they are. But this one's different. This one you can bring the whole family to. Grandpas, grandkids, aunts, uncles, the postman, the mailman. Invite them all to go see the movie because after the film, like you used to be able to do with like It's a Wonderful Life or any of those old great films, you sit around with the whole family and you talk about, okay, what was your favorite part of the movie? What did you learn from this movie? You can't do that, Eric, with most films that are out there nowadays that Hollywood churns out. So if you want more films like this, you got to go there opening weekend. You got to go buy tickets. You got to sit in the theater, because you're going to be entertained by a phenomenal film. The bull riding is off the charts, crazy awesome. The father-daughter broken relationship that I have with my daughter that mends itself by the end is what every parent goes through. And the possibility of losing a kid because of cancer or losing your wife because of cancer. Those are things we all go through in life. I've gone through it personally and it's horrible. It's horrible. There's no other way, no other words for it. But we talk about it and we face it straight on and we bring it up in the film. And those are films that I've always loved and aspire to make in the future. So if you want more films like this, please support this film and what Angel Studios does. Go to the movie theaters, buy tickets for everyone. It'll tell Hollywood, stop making this dark, dark, dark stuff, which I'm a culprit of. I've been part of some pretty dark films because I wanted to be the best villain I could possibly be because I won't kiss a woman on screen. But in this movie, in The Last Rodeo, I have my first screen kiss in a feature film. And I've never played the hero before. I've never had the opportunity because there's certain things that I won't do. Now I get to kiss the woman in the end, and that woman is my wife, Reve. What a
That's awesome.
blessing that is. And on the day, it was funny. I'm famous for 1 or 2 takes and moving on because I'm always so prepared. And my daughter London was on the set that day. And I was like 7, 8, 10, 10. No, I need one more kiss. No, that didn't work good enough. And Dad, that's disgusting. I'm like, yeah, but I'm dad being dad right now. And it was one of those, it was maybe my favorite day I've ever had as an actor, that I got to be in this moment where I've gone through all kinds of hardships to get to this moment. And I wouldn't kiss another woman on screen my whole career. And I finally get to do it my way. And I get to kiss my wife, Reve, in the movie. I get choked up when I think about it.
Getting choked up listening to you about it, man. I wish we had more people that stood up for what they believe in there because marriage is important. Family is everything.
It's
Everything
everything.
else is just, doesn't matter. Family is everything, and you've got to protect your marriage. And I can imagine being in Hollywood, the struggles and the temptation that must come at you. I mean, talk a little bit about like the struggles that it has on your family when you're in Hollywood, away from your family, all the glitz and the glamour and people trying to get to you. I know that can't be easy.
Uh, it's interesting because our kids are always part of all of our films. Like, you know, you're working the stunt department, you're working craft service, you're going to work with the makeup, you're going to help move this. I'll give you a line every once in a while to see how you do, or where they will. And we keep it a family affair. So they kind of understand the whole idea of that. But we lived in Canada for 7 years in this really small little town where we were away from everything. So my kids never really got to see firsthand what it was like that dad was that guy. And then we went to the Grand Ole Opry a couple of years ago, and the lights came up and they saw me, and the place just kind of went crazy. And there's 1,000 people inside the Grand Ole Opry, and I took pictures with all of them and photos with everyone. And my kids were like, what's going? That's dad. What's going on here? And now with all the films that are coming out and the TV shows and Yellowstone, I don't watch any of my stuff. There are no posters, movie posters. This is the only movie poster that I know of. That I don't have one in my house. I don't have any. You would never know that an actor lives in the house that we live in. That's just not who I am. And I'm all about family first, me second, God first, me second. And then I get to write to these things and have Angel Studios give me the chance to make these movies. Boy, that's kind of awesome. And my kids are so proud of what Reve and I are doing that they aspire to do the same thing, because we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to make God happy. We're trying to make our boss happy. And when you do those things, great things happen.
Being an actor is what you do for a living. It's not who you are. You don't
Not
let
even
that
close.
define you.
Not even. I love acting. Don't get me wrong. It's my favorite thing in the world other than my family and God. And so it's a deep third place. God first, me second, family first, me second. And, as a dad, way back when I was going through all my troubles, like I always say, there wasn't a bottle of Jameson that didn't have my name on it. And I just drank myself silly at times because I was wallowing in just self-pity. Why me? Why has he forgotten about me? Well, I think I forgot about him. And then as soon as I put that bottle down, I realized a couple weeks later, it was like, okay, I'm thinking clearly now. I got my feet planted on the ground. All right, let's take one step towards the right direction. Now let's take another step towards the right direction. And it was that having a wife like Reve holding I always say I can get through life with one hand behind my back as long as the other hand is being held and pulled and guided by Reve. And she helped me through that hard time of being blackballed in Hollywood. And now here I am 10 years later on our 11th production, and so proud of this one that's about to come out in the theaters May 23rd. If you guys love movies like this, if you want to go to movies where you can bring the whole family and talk about it after, talk about issues, talk about faith, talk about family. If you like these types of movies, you have to go and support it. And supporting it isn't just saying, oh, I love movies like this. Supporting is buying tickets and going to the theater and telling Hollywood, I'm tired of all the dark stuff that you put out there. Let's go support films like this. Let's go support Angel Studios. Let's give the McDonough Company more shots to make more movies that make a difference in the viewers' lives. That's what I'm aspiring to do. And if that's what you want, guys, please go out there and support this film. Buy tickets opening weekend. Let's go beat Mission Impossible. You'll never beat Mission Impossible, but we can certainly take a big chunk out of their business. And that's our goal for that weekend.
You never know, as they said in Angels in the Outfield, it can happen.
It could happen.
Yeah.
But I'm going up.
Had to use it. Neal, while I got you, let me ask. One of the things I've noticed with Hollywood is the constant negative portrayals they have towards fathers in films and in television. What do you think it is that causes that? And I got to say, what you were saying about getting out there and supporting in the tickets, guys, please listen to that. The only reason they get away with this is because we've allowed it. This is Eric, how you make a statement.
You just nailed it. You just nailed it. If you don't like something, you have to stand up against it in anything in life. If you don't like a way that your school is doing something, you have to talk to the principal. Say, I don't like the way you're doing this. How about we try this? Or how can I help make it better? If you don't like things that are happening in your neighborhood, how can I help to make it better? If you don't like the films that Hollywood's making, how can you get better films that talk about core values of life? You got to stand up to it and you got to support it. As a dad, Everything is because my brother once told me, nothing will nail your feet under your desk like having kids. Your choices change, your friends change, your everything changes, and it changes for the better. I I I I can't imagine my life without my wife and my 5 kids. I just couldn't. I coach all their teams. I'm there for supporting everything they do. If my daughter wants to do dance, I did ballet for 4 years in college. I'll help with ballet, jazz, tap, whatever she wants. I was also a ball player. If my son wants to learn how to throw a knuckleball, I'm going to teach him how to throw the best knuckleball. My daughter, who's a phenomenal volleyball player, I'll help her out there with basketball, whatever sports they want. I'm there to help and be the dad. I could not have done that unless I went through a crucifixion myself and started drinking myself silly and then came out of that tailspin. And that tailspin was all because I wanted to be closer to him. And when you get closer to him, you don't need all the other stupid stuff that is thrown at you as a dad. What you want to do is concentrate on God first, me second, family first, me second. Once you put yourself in a servant position and you're serving your family and you're serving God, you're also serving humanity. And that's a beautiful thing.
Maybe talk about the importance of being a father and what that has meant to you. Like, how did that change you as a person?
Being a dad, my gosh, there's a definitive responsibility to being a great dad. It also means being a great husband. It also means supporting your wife as much as you possibly can. There are times when you're going to butt heads with your wife. That's just human. Try not to show that in front of your kids. Try to take that at a separate time and say, honey, I didn't really like this, or how did you feel about this? And have good, open conversations with your wife, because if you're not happy with your wife, then your kids aren't going to be happy with you, because they see angst, they see anger, they see all kinds of stuff. And if you're divorced, there's even more pressure on you to be the great guy and not say bad things about your spouse. You want to be the great guy. So if you're living God first, me second, family first, me second, you won't say stupid things, you won't do stupid things, you'll stay out of trouble, and you'll stay on a much more linear path to doing the right stuff. And that's what we're trying to do in our family. And that's what I try to tell everyone. Just stay on that line, stay the course, and great things will happen. Trust me. It happened to me, and I'm living proof that if you do it the right way, great things will happen.
Neal, where can everybody go to keep up with what movies you got coming out and McDonough Family Studios? Give us the information and your links.
Well, right now, just go support the next one, The Last Rodeo. We did Homestead last year, which thank you everyone for supporting. It was a $5 million film that turned out $23 million in the box office. That's just kind of astounding. And now we've got The Last Rodeo, which is a much bigger film, a much broader film, and it's really just an incredible. If you love rodeo, my gosh, you're going to lose your marbles when you see some of the sequences in this film. And we get to use the real PBR guys. And PBR it's a family event, it's a family culture, it's a family atmosphere. When you go see these events, go to PBR events. They start with a prayer and they end with a cheer. It's just it's a great world to be part of, and I'm just so blessed that God gave this gift to me.
Last question for you on the way out, Neal, if there's any other up and coming actors that, they're wanting to keep family first and everything, but they are going through this industry, not knowing how to navigate it. What is some advice that you would give to them?
It's not anything more than just realizing when you make God your boss, you do better things. Then you don't worry about making other people happy. When I started in this business, I was, paint my hair dark, do certain things that I think would be the right thing that people wanted to hear. That's all fake. That's all fabricated. Once you become your unique self and just be you and give glory to him and try to do the right thing for him, amazing things happen. Doors open up in front of you that you can't even possibly think that they would have, but they do. That's the key. Give glory to him, be your unique you, and just go kick butt.
Absolutely. Neal, thank you so much for coming in and sharing a little bit with us today. Everybody get out there, Last Rodeo. Make sure they see it at the box office. Thank you so much.